Let's go out to the movies. Las Vegas Weekly film editor Josh Bell joins me now. Two movies to talk about this week. The first, Logan.
Yes.
The story of Wolverine. This looks cool.
Yeah, it does look cool. It's a different take on a superhero movie and on this character. Of course, Wolverine has been in all the X-Men movies. This is his third solo movie and the final one, so they say, for Hugh Jackman as the character. So it's really kind of an elegy for Wolverine in a way. It takes place far in the future, and Wolverine has gotten older, a little slower, and he's kind of worn out, really. And he's hanging out with Professor X, played by Patrick Stewart, who's really the only other X-Men character who shows up in this movie. And both of them old and broken down, and they end up having to help this young girl who also has mutant powers similar to Wolverine's. And it's sort of a road movie. It's almost like a Western. They make a lot of references to Shane, the classic Western.
Yeah.
And it's an R-rated film, so
really,
the filmmakers really push to make it adult and dark. It's incredibly violent and serious.
So the R rating is for the violence.
The violence and the language too.
Really?
Wolverine swears a lot in this movie.
No kidding.
Actually,
is this the first for him in his movies to be R-rated?
Yeah, they've all been PG-13. And this movie, I think, after the success of Deadpool, they saw that there was really an audience for this kind of more adult superhero movie. So it's not something to take your kids to, but I think it's a refreshingly different kind of movie, especially all these Marvel movies end up very sanitized.
Yes.
And this movie is grim and dark and serious, but it's really a good send-off for this character, and it builds on the history that Hugh Jackman has with the character and that has come through all these X-Men movies, and I think it's strong, especially for fans who've stuck with the character for all this time.
All right, sounds good. I want to see it, so you didn't dissuade me.
All right, that's
my
good.
wife, on the other hand, is going to take a little bit more time. All right, moving on now to The Shack.
Yes.
I knew nothing about this. Tell me what this movie's about.
It's based on a hugely popular novel. It's a Christian religious film, and this novel was self-published several years ago. It's about a man who his young daughter is murdered, and he's dealing with all this grief, and he gets a mysterious message to return to the shack, which is where his daughter was tortured almost by this serial killer. It's kind of dark in the beginning here.
Okay.
But he goes back to this place and he meets God, basically. I mean, it's a religious parable about this man played by Sam Worthington coming to terms with his grief, and God is played by Octavia Spencer, and we see the whole Holy Trinity, and I'm sure it's very inspirational for the people who read the book, but it's a terrible movie.
Really? Okay, all right.
It's just...
I thought you were going to say it kind of closely meets it, but no.
I mean, I haven't read the book, and so I can't say how it compares. But as a film, it's dramatically completely inert. It's kind of full of these self-helpy platitudes. It's not preachy so much as it's almost new agey in the way it tackles grief and forgiveness and things like that. I didn't find it inspirational. The lead performance from Sam Worthington is incredibly dull, and it's full of cheesy special effects. And so I think, despite the fact that this book sold millions and millions of copies, this is more of a niche thing. Really.
Okay, so fair to say we got one up, one down this week.
I think so, yeah.
All right,
Go see Logan.
Josh Bell, as always, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll be right back, everyone.
Channel 13 Action News Primetime Lineup is sponsored by Sudden Impact Auto Body, where damage meets its demise. Make the right choice. Choose Sudden Impact Auto Body, the #1 shop in Las Vegas.